How does a single family with no royal bloodline, no great army, and no claim to a throne become the most powerful dynasty in all of Europe? The answer has nothing to do with swords or crowns. It has to do with something far more powerful: the control of money. This is the story of a family of wool merchants who rose from obscurity to become the undisputed masters of an entire continent. This is the story of the Medici Bank, the financial institution that invented modern banking, financed the glorious Renaissance, and showed the world that the man who controls the ledger is more powerful than the man who wields the sword. Our story begins in the early 14th century, in the bustling city-state of Florence. The world of finance was a dangerous one. The Catholic Church had declared usury, the act of charging interest on a loan, a mortal sin. This made traditional banking incredibly difficult and risky. Yet, it was in this hostile environment that the patriarch of our story, Giovanni de' Medici, laid the foundations for an empire. Giovanni was not a nobleman. He was a cautious, brilliant, and deeply respected man who understood a fundamental truth. The greatest profits were not in high-risk loans, but in facilitating the movement of money. He perfected a financial instrument that would become the secret to his family's power: the bill of exchange, or lettera di cambio. The concept was simple, but revolutionary. A merchant in Florence could deposit his gold florins at the Medici Bank. In return, he would receive a bill of exchange. He could then travel to the Medici branch in London, present this paper, and withdraw his money in British pounds. The Medici made their profit not from sinful interest, but from the currency exchange fees and the commissions. They had found a way to move vast sums of money across Europe without physically shipping a single gold coin. This innovation caught the attention of the most powerful institution in the world, the papacy. The church was a massive international corporation that collected taxes and fees from every corner of Christendom. They needed a reliable banking network to manage this immense cash flow. In 1410, Giovanni de' Medici secured the ultimate prize. His bank was appointed as the official bankers to the Pope. They became known as God's bankers. This was a license to print money. The Medici now had branches in every major European city, from London to Bruges to Geneva, all managing the vast revenues of the church. Their network gave them an unparalleled advantage. They not only had access to immense capital, but they also had access to information. Their branch managers acted as a kind of financial intelligence agency, giving them insight into the political and economic stability of every kingdom in Europe. When Giovanni died, he passed control to his son, Cosimo de' Medici. Cosimo was even more ambitious. He understood that financial power was the key to political power. He used the bank's immense profits to control Florence from behind the scenes, placing his allies in key government positions. He wasn't a king, but he was the city's master, and he used his wealth to change the world forever, funding the artists and architects who would create the Renaissance, including the construction of Brunelleschi's magnificent dome on the Florence Cathedral. The Medici were at the absolute peak of their power. The foundation of the Medici Bank's success, laid by Giovanni and perfected by Cosimo, was caution, discipline, and an unparalleled network. But empires built by geniuses are often squandered by their heirs. Cosimo's grandson, Lorenzo de' Medici, would become known to history as Lorenzo the Magnificent. He was a brilliant statesman and arguably the greatest art patron in history, nurturing the talents of Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. But he was a terrible banker. Lorenzo's passion was for politics and culture, not for balanced ledgers. He neglected the bank, using its vast resources as his personal piggy bank to fund his lavish lifestyle and political ambitions. The bank's core principles began to erode. Under Giovanni and Cosimo, lending to royalty was done with extreme caution, as kings were notoriously bad credit risks. Under Lorenzo, the bank began giving out massive, ill-advised loans to powerful nobles and monarchs across Europe, who had little intention of ever paying them back. Worse, the bank's international branches, once its greatest strength, became its greatest weakness. Branch managers were given too much autonomy. They began acting like partners, taking huge, reckless risks with the bank's money to boost their own profits. The London branch, for example, gave a series of disastrous loans to King Edward IV, a move that would have been unthinkable under Cosimo. The branch eventually collapsed, costing the bank a fortune. One by one, the pillars of the Medici financial empire began to crack. As the bank's finances faltered, so did the family's political grip on Florence. Rival families, like the Pazzi, sensed weakness and attempted to overthrow them in a bloody conspiracy. A fanatical preacher, Savonarola, rose to power, railing against the Medici's wealth and influence. The world that had once revered the Medicis was now turning against them. The final collapse came at the end of the 15th century. A French invasion of Italy, combined with the bank's catastrophic bad debts and a popular uprising in Florence, brought the entire empire crashing down. The Medici Bank, the most powerful financial institution in the world for nearly a century, was effectively insolvent. The family was forced into exile, their power seemingly broken forever. So what does the rise and fall of the Medici Bank teach us today? It's a powerful lesson in the life cycle of a successful enterprise. The Medicis rose to power through brilliant innovation and disciplined risk management. They understood their core business better than anyone. But their heirs became complacent. They took their success for granted, shifting their focus from sound financial principles to the intoxicating worlds of politics and prestige. History reminds us that no matter how powerful a financial institution becomes, its success is always tied to its fundamental principles. When a bank forgets its core mission, gets distracted by glamour, and begins to believe that some clients are too important to fail, it is planting the seeds of its own destruction. It's a timeless lesson that echoes in the boardrooms of every major bank in the world today. A 600-year-old warning written in the ledgers of the godfathers of banking. If you believe these lessons from the past are crucial for understanding our present, please show your support with a like. And to continue this journey through the forgotten financial stories that shaped our world, be sure to subscribe.